So, oh shit, did I go to the wrong place? View player shares table. There we go.
My diversity score is 48.26%. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Mine's 57.97.
Well, I guess yours is better then. Or I guess more diverse is a good thing.
Yes, Saquon, most owned player. Or most.
I mean, good for you, man. I mean, that's
seven
expensive player.
shares. Yep, 7 shares.
That I have
Higgins.
11. Allen Robinson.
T. Higgins is actually mine as well. T. Higgins, I have 5 shares.
Me too. 5 shares.
Yep.
Who's your next?
Quintez Cephas.
Yeah, my next 2 are Seahawks.
He's always like in the 4th round. That's like who I targeted. I have 4 Lynn Bowdens too.
I saw his name. I have 3. I have 4 Colby Parkinson, and then 3 DJ Dallas, Thaddeus Moss, Lynn Bowden, and then 2 of a ton of people.
I've got 3 Tuas and 3 Herberts.
I don't know if I have a Herbert.
2 Burrows.
I have a Tua. I have 1 Burrow, 1 Tua.
I have 0 J.K. Dobbins, and I love J.K. Dobbins. I'm gonna go acquire J.K. Dobbins. Have you ever had Evergreen Brewing out of PA? How excited should I be in there? Yeah, me neither. Oh, I'll have to look it up. Evergreen.
Come on, you're from PA. You should know everything about PA.
I don't know where the hell that is. Evergreen. Oh, it's Harrisburg. It's not that far from me either. Looks nice too. Shit.
Yeah.
Seriously, the pictures of the interior of the brew house. It's like an open warehouse. They have a garage door at the one end.
Oh.
And a really long bar, and then they have like tables and shit. That's nice. That's something like I'll visit there. Oh, holy shit. That just showed the other end. Oh yeah, that's really nice. I'm gonna have to check that out for sure. That's only. Oh my god, look at the food. Oh, pizza and wieners.
As long as there's something on a pretzel bun, I'm down.
Oh, they got some type of taco. I can't tell what the hell that is in there, but looks delicious.
I only have 1 Chris Godwin share.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm trying to trade it away.
Oh my god, I am so hungry right now looking at this.
I ordered from Grubhub because I had a coupon.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, all right, your order should be ready to get picked up by 7:15. I ordered at like 6:45. At like 8:15, I realized I haven't eaten yet. And I'm like, oh, let me call the place to see if it got picked up or something. And I'm like, hey, I ordered from Grubhub, and I know it's not really you guys, but I just want to see if it got picked up or something. They're like, we're closed on Mondays. I'm like, oh, all right, man. Well, have a good day. Have a good day. I'm going to go eat something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Reheated 2 slices of pizza and got my refund from Grubhub.
At least they gave you your refund.
That would
have been a major bummer.
Without even arguing. I'm like, I ordered. They said they were closed. They said they've complained to you that this has happened before. They're like, all right, you should have your refund in 3 days. I'm like, okay. Never using you again. Bye.
Wow.
I mean, I don't normally use them anyway. It's just that I had the coupon. It was $15 off. So I just ordered a fuck ton of Colombian food.
I don't know that I know what Colombian food tastes like. Is it special? Like, is it
Wonderful.
different than like?
It's a variation on different Hispanic foods. I mean, a lot of it's pretty much not the same, but like variations on it. Kind of like Thai food and Chinese food. They're not the same really, but they're
similar,
based off the same thing.
Mm-hmm. We got Big Rob in the chat. Mike. Nice.
Yeah, shit's happening.
Troy's in there. What's up, Troy?
You get started?
Yeah. Let's roll.
Free game stretch.
I'd give you the can you hear me still?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay. Well, I didn't know. You stood up and walked out of the screen. I didn't know, how far those went. God, you know why I need to pair those? I need to pair those so I don't have to leave the fucking couch. Like, I can turn the TV on, my daughter's on her tablet or something, and I don't have to leave the couch. I'm lazy. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. DFF voice.
Yeah, we know, Troy. Come on.
I'd do the power pad stretch, but I'd probably pull a hammy. You know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
You don't know what I'm talking about when I say the power pad stretch. You don't remember Rabbit? You don't remember that from NES, Nintendo? The power pad?
I remember.
Do you even know
for track and field?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Track and field. Rabbit was the fastest guy in.
I don't remember it that well.
Rabbit was the fastest dude, and I mean, the stretch you did before those races is like, you like. I can't do it on this thing. I'll have to show you in Canton some year. I'll do the power pad stretch.
Again, if
it's not sexual or anything.
If I wasn't super lazy, I would edit the do that you were just doing and just like put that randomly throughout the pod.
Oh, all right. This might be fun tonight. I'm like two mixed drinks in, and I've got a brew, and this is going to be good.
You're living it up.
It's been one of them days.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
I am Dynasty Outhouse, and I have a trading problem.
And I am Meatloaf Wildcat, and I also have a trading problem.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to session. Sorry, I had to scroll up. 111 of the Trade Addicts podcast, a member of the DLF family of podcasts and the Dynasty Addicts podcast network, the DAP network. We are here today. I am grumpy. So I need to. Oh man, what was I again? Oh yeah, I was Cookie Mustang. No, not Cookie. I was Mustang was my high school mascot. I can't remember what it was, but I ate something that went really good with I'm gonna go with Cookie Mustang. What did I eat today? Pizza Mustang. So I'm Pizza Mustang because I'm cranky, and that's your name. And Brian's pretty drunk already and still drinking, so.
I'm not drunk.
Listen,
I just said it was going to be. I'm loosened up. I said it was going to be a good show tonight. I'm sharp, man.
All right, so I told Brian the story before, but I'm still like really annoyed about this. So I'm going to tell the story of why I'm cranky, especially because like I'm having trouble forming sentences. So I'm just hoping this rant will just bring it back. So this is why work is just the worst. So I had a stressful as hell day at work. I have a deadline at the end of the week where I am nowhere close to catching up to, and going like crazy. And my boss emails me. She's like, "I got this coupon from Grubhub for $15 off, and I'm not going to use it. So hey, here you go. Why don't you just have it? That's fine." I'm like, awesome, that's great. I mean, I was going to cook, but now I won't. Thanks. So I ordered dinner from a Colombian place near my house, and I get an email confirmation that says your order's placed. It's being prepared. It'll be ready for you at, I think it's like 7:05 to 7:15. I ordered it at like 6:45. So like 8 o'clock rolls around. So I'm like, I don't have Colombian food in my belly. I just realized this. Let me call the place, who of course closes at 8 o'clock. So I'm like, hey, I see you just closed, but I ordered Grubhub like an hour ago and I don't got it. I just want to see if they picked it up. And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, man. We're closed on Mondays. I've told Grubhub that, they should stop accepting orders. And I'm just like, oh, cool, man. No, like, sorry for bothering you on your day off. Go have a good time. I'm going to go reheat some pizza. but still, like, I had Colombian food like in my brain and like the taste in my mouth. And while I love me some Sicilian pizza, it's not what I wanted. It's not what was there. It's not what I expected. And I am pretty grumpy about it. And then Brian's like, "Oh, look, I'm 2 mixed drinks in and I got this beer waiting for me." And I'm just like, "Why didn't I do that?" And now he's drinking just to show off. So that's going to shape the mood, the tone of this show.
I mean, I'm in a great mood.
You know what?
I'm just saying.
So, you know what? We're going to skip right into making everyone else in a good mood, Brian. You have news. Why don't you?
Here's the news. Sorry, I was off last week, man. I'm like geared up.
Yeah, clearly. So why don't you tell people? Why don't you? Okay, how do I word this? Because not everyone's going to be in a good mood. You're going to put one person in a very, very, very good mood. Why don't you tell people how they can get the chance to be that one person?
I am. So the cool thing and the cool thing that we got going on here is the Trade Addicts have a spot in the Scott Fish Bowl to give away. So,
what?
Yeah, believe it or not. Scott, thank you, Scott. Scott Fish, the man. Thank you so much for giving us something to give away that is of value, because I'm not sure how much value we bring on a weekly basis, but I'm just kidding. I mean, of course we bring value, right? Right, Russ? Validate me here.
At least. I mean,
okay.
That's
really
all. Matters.
Yeah, exactly. But no, on a serious note, thanks to Scott for allowing us to do this. So we do have a spot in the Scott Fish Bowl, SFBX, to give away. So listen carefully. I'm going to repeat this twice. So write it down. I'm going to say it nice and slow for those who have trouble hearing.
Do you hear that? Hold on. I've never seen you do that organically. Write that down.
Write it down. Take some notes.
I literally
don't get distracted.
Tell you doing that.
Tell Deb to go downstairs and get you an Iron City or something. All right, and get ready, because here's how you get in the Scott Fish Bowl, or here's how you win the contest here for the Trade Addicts. So subscribe to the DAP Network at DAP_network. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Rate and review the Trade Addicts podcast on whatever platform you listen to us on, and donate to a charity of your choosing in any amount, and then screenshot it all and direct message at Trade Addicts Pod on Twitter for your chance. So I'm going to read it again, nice and slow.
When you are doing the review, that's the word, screenshot before you hit submit, because it goes away for like 24 hours before it shows up on the actual whatever you're putting it on. So screenshot it before you hit submit.
Yes, great tip.
I screwed that up the first time I tried to enter a podcast thing. I'm like, no, I swear I did it.
So one more time. SFBX giveaway with the Trade Addicts podcast. Subscribe to the DAP Network on YouTube, the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. Subscribe on YouTube. Rate and review the Trade Addicts podcast on your preferred listening platform, and donate to a charity of your choice in any amount. Screenshot all of that, or each of those, and DM us on Twitter at Trade Addicts Pod, and you will be entered for a chance to win this spot in the Scott Fish Bowl. And once again, we just want to say thanks to Scott for allowing us to do this on our show. It means a lot to us, and hopefully we'll be able to make someone's day with a Scott Fish Bowl invite.
Or I'm just going to give it to myself at a different email address and have 2 chances to hopefully not come in last place.
It's not allowed, man.
They don't got to know. Okay, so, but really, do we know when we need to have this chosen by? Because we didn't talk about this.
Yeah, that is a great...
right, so open-ended for now. Clearly, we need to have it
for now,
before July, whatever. Jay, we just said we don't know when the winner is going to be announced. After someone actually hears this and applies, how about that? We'll figure it out by next week when we're going to announce the winner when we do this again. We'll read this out again. So, yeah, that's awesome. Like I meant to sign up for this last year and totally forgot because I was one of those. Scufffish has no idea who the hell we are. Why am I going to bother him with this no name whatever? And now Brian's just like, I'm just gonna go sign up. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome that Scott allows pods and sites to do this type of thing for a chance. I mean, it's so coveted, in the community to be a part of the Scott Fish Bowl, and it's if you've never experienced it, as awesome as you think it is, that it's that and more. I mean, it really is a tremendous a tremendous time for us as players, right? As dynasty players. And even better, obviously, is that all of the proceeds end up going to Fantasy Cares, which is an amazing charity
Yes.
that Scott runs, and that I know John runs the Eliminators, and John Bosch runs the Eliminators and stuff that contribute to all of that as well. So then we got the Podathon coming up. There's all kinds of fun stuff coming up that's associated with the Fish Bowl and donating to Fantasy Cares. So donate anyways. I mean, if you have anything extra that you can spare, please go donate to Fantasy Cares. It's a wonderful organization. And yeah, if you're fortunate enough to get into the Fish Bowl, you will love it. It is a wonderful experience for sure. Something to look forward to for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so that's awesome. That's great. Let's go to something that's not so awesome or so great. We'll call this news with heavy air quotes around it. Dalvin Cook is now saying he is not going to participate in any preseason anything, if there is any preseason anything. And so pretty much we're getting that Dalvin Cook is holding out train started. Okay, so here's the thing with this to begin. If everyone, like, I don't know how real any of this is. Everyone's tweeting it out. Details of contracts are so freaking confusing that I don't really ever understand them. But what everyone is saying right now, and it looks very officially copy and pasted with like rule number with parentheses and brackets. So that has to be real. That if he does not participate in any of the preseason organized stuff for the team, because words don't work for me ever, it doesn't count towards being a unrestricted free agent. So if he holds out even just the preseason, he will be a restricted free agent at the end of the year, and Minnesota still technically owns him for another year. So that seems to not be good for him. I don't know if that's real. That's what the internet is telling me, and according to my 7-year-old son, everything on the internet is true. So I got to believe it. I have a friend who is, we'll just call him not plugged in. Okay. Like, he doesn't have Twitter. He refuses to. He's too cool for it. He's in a dynasty league or two with me and all that stuff, but like, he sees headlines and freaks the hell out. So he's like, dude, now this, what the hell? Like, and all those angry emojis and letters and everything. And I'm like, this is literally just going to be every single running back the year before their contract is up. Like, Mixon started it. Zeke just did it a year early. Cook is doing it now. I mean, we're a year. I guess McCaffrey didn't have to, and Fournette doesn't make sense for him to do because the Jaguars show they don't care about him. So like, this is just going to happen. This is, whether it's lip service or whether it's real, NFL and running backs is a very tumultuous relationship right now, and this is kind of just what they have to do. Do we take it seriously? I don't know, man. Am I going to let it affect any? Like, we have Dalvin in Trade Addict 7. I didn't trade him away yet, did I? I don't think so. So are we worried about our Dalvin Cook share right now, Brian Har?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm worried about it. I'm worried about it for two reasons. Okay. First of all, dude, I'm not, this is probably going to piss off a lot of people because
it's always great when you start a sentence like that.
Well, I mean, Minnesota, right? So, I mean, half of Dynasty Twitter is from Minnesota and the other half's from Cleveland. So, I don't know that Dalvin Cook's that good. I mean, look, I saw what he did in the 4 games before he blew out the ACL. I saw what he did last year. he had a great season last season, especially the first half and a few games. Like his first 10 games last year were pretty good. The last 4 games that he played, and he didn't play week 16, but the last 4 games that he played, 16, 13, 15, 7 fantasy points. I mean, not anything bad. I mean, that's not horrible. But he's the running back 3 overall. He was the running back, God, I can't even find him, 32 after week 10. So, like, I get that Cook and look, obviously, I mean, that's fantasy wise, right? So is he a good NFL running back? Yes. He scored a ton of touchdowns last year. He had 13 on the ground. He actually didn't score through the air. So he had 13 touchdowns. And good for him. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, he had a nose for the end zone. They ran the ball a ton. But I don't know. I don't know about Dalvin. He's 24 right now. I don't know how old I'm not sure what the birth date is, but so he
August
could
10th.
Okay, so he's going to be 25 before the end of the season.
Oh my God, that's so old.
No, it's not. But listen, he's had one good year. He's had one good year. He's 25 and he's had one good year. And now
he's had one fully healthy year, and that one healthy year was a very good year.
And now he's holding out. So, I mean,
that's what running backs have to do.
Yes, I'm concerned. No, they don't. They should.
Yes, they did.
I mean, this is the right thing to do from a financial standpoint, I guess. I mean, it's not. You see what happened to Melvin Gordon last year when he did this. See what happened to Lev. I mean, I guess Lev got his money, but he also lost his career. I mean, if he's worried about money, then he wins. But he goes to New York and he's not nearly as. I mean, he's not. Nobody talks about Lev Bell, not the way they talk about him in Pittsburgh. With all due respect to him, I just,
we saw he was about the money, so I guess he did win.
Yeah, sure, and good for him. I mean, that's fine, but I just don't know. Yes, I'm concerned about Dalvin. Yeah, that was the question. Are you concerned about your Dalvin share? Yes, I am. He's going to be 25 years old. He's holding out. He's only had one healthy season in the National Football League. It was a damn good season, especially early. But now they draft Justin Jefferson. I think they're going to throw the ball more. I don't know. I don't know that a lot of people agree with that, but I do. I think they're going to throw the ball more.
I mean, they fired an offensive coordinator specifically because he threw the ball too much, or didn't run the ball enough, I should say.
Yep. And now, go ahead.
And now they're gonna throw the ball more again.
Why do you draft a wide receiver in the first round if you're not going to throw the ball to him? Because you just traded another one away, I guess.
Don't claim that they know what they're doing. I mean, that's your first mistake. This isn't coaching. Rational GMing is even worse than rational coaching.
Very true. Very true. But yes, I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about Mixon too. I mean, nobody's talking about that either, but I mean, Joe Mixon has threatened to hold out too. He hasn't I don't know that he's officially said I'm holding out, but he's like implied it.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, it's tough to be like, what should we trade our Dalvin share for? Okay. I guess let's
play my game.
Yeah. I was about to right now. Oh man, Dalvin Cook is 6 overall. Dalvin Cook or Alvin Kamara?
I'll take Kamara, but it's close.
Dalvin or Zeke?
Zeke.
Michael Thomas?
Michael Thomas.
All right, those 3 were above. Like Michael Thomas's ADP of 3, Zeke 4, Kamara 5, Cook 6. Hopkins?
That's probably Nuke.
Okay. Devontae Adams.
Adams.
Joe Mixon.
I mean, similar situation in terms of like the holdout stuff, Mixon's a
Gotta take it
lot
into
younger
account.
too. Mixon's only like 23 years old too. That one's very close. I'll say Cook, but it's
Okay.
close.
Tyreek.
I don't
You
want
want
anything to do with
nothing.
Tyreek
Yeah,
Hill.
I know.
No.
I just had to say it anyway. All right.
Chris
Oh,
Godwin.
man.
I take Chris Godwin over him.
Chris Godwin and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 12.
No.
What weird ADP that is.
No.
I mean, that's May, so it's going to change in like a week. But man,
You're taking CEH over Nick freaking Chubb. Get the flip out of here. That's ridiculous.
I'm still not taking him over Jonathan Taylor, but that's besides the point.
Yeah, I'm not either. Jeez, oh man, Taylor's at 14. What are well,
J.K. Dobbins at 18. This, and then you have Juju at 20. Mike Evans at 21.
Got the Devi team running this mock. These mocks.
Right. People are just the youth is way too. I don't think real trade value is coming close to matching the ADP right here. Okay, so you're not really honestly. It's still pretty spot on the value for you that you're willing to get rid of Cook for.
Yeah. So but there's guys that are lower. Like I would trade him straight up for DJ Moore.
Which is really funny because I tried that. I should say, tried that with Bobby Koch, who said he has DJ Moore over Nick Chubb, and this was months ago. But that was also wide receiver over running back bias.
Over Cook?
Over Dalvin.
Okay. I think you might have said Chubb. I'm not sure, but that's what I heard anyway.
I don't listen when I talk, so it's I don't know. Man, Josh Jacobs at 15. I'm just not a Josh Jacobs fan, but we're completely straying from the point.
Yeah.
So this ADP is just weird. I think that's the bigger issue we have with this game than the value of Dalvin Cook itself. So even though you're not a panic seller anyway, you're way too level-headed and smart for that, which I hate because it makes it so difficult for me to actually trade with you when I just want to do it for fun.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're worried about Dalvin Cook, but we're not panic selling.
Right.
I'm not super freaking out about it. I think this is just something we're going to see every single year. They had started working on a contract with him like at the end of the season last year. They were already talking about it. So I think this is just a we haven't talked in a while nudge. I think that's all this is. I am not super worried. I am absolutely not panic selling. I think I'm with you with a lot of the wood flips. Honestly, I think trade value wise, Hopkins is just getting so hated on right now that I don't think I would do that one for one, but I would do it for Devontae Adams, even though he's one spot behind Hopkins.
God, I was so wrong. I was so wrong on Devontae Adams.
But you could admit that, and that's
so wrong.
All right, so under the Scott Fishbowl giveaway thing, you wrote something. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, so last week, listen to the show last week with you and J Mike. Great job, as always. And J Mike, anytime he comes on, that's always a treat. I did hear his discussion and comments about our about me never being here when he's on and me trying to hide our bromance. But I am not hiding, J Mike. I love you, bro. So
shout out FF Bottom Barrel.
Yes. But no, you guys did a great show. But one of the things I heard you guys talking about was some veteran players and trade values, and is now a time to be trading for those veterans. And it kind of got me thinking just about, I think at this time of year, it's hard for some teams to know, whether they think they're going to be I mean, obviously we all go into every season hoping, right, that we're going to unless you're in a complete rebuild, you're hoping you can compete at least or see how the season shakes out over the first couple of games so that you can make decisions from there. For me, I have several teams though that I look at, and I have several bad teams too. I'm not saying that I'm the greatest dynasty player ever and all my teams are great. I'm not saying that. But I do have some teams where I look at the beginning of the season here. I can look at them now and say, that's a team that's going to probably, as long as nothing crazy happens, right? That's a team that's probably going to be in the conversation for playoff berth, a top 4 finish, something like that. And you guys were talking about specific players. So one of the things you said was all players, go after the players if the value's right. And Russ, I heard you cut me too about value because I am a stickler when it comes to value. I'm very
the worst.
I admit I'm pretty bad. The value has to be right for me. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to make sense from a value perspective. I'm just not in the business of losing a ton of value in trades. I don't have to crush the value, but the value's got to be at least we've got to be playing in the same ballpark for me to go ahead and make a deal. So that got me thinking just about, okay, well, what are some players right now whose values have been like, especially from a trading perspective, right? We're a trade show. So from a trading perspective, what are some players that right now their trade value is like nothing? Like you literally, if you have these guys, you can't get rid of them, or at least not for value, or not anywhere in the ballpark for value. And you guys talked about a couple of them last week. Jarvis Landry is one. Mark Ingram was another one that I heard you guys talk about. And I think those are both very good examples. But I wanted to just maybe mention a few more and get your thoughts as well on, are there other veteran players, and it doesn't have to be like Larry Fitzgerald veteran, but are there other veteran players that, are out there, and what veteran players should, can you potentially get right now or what players in general can you get right now for, less than you probably will be able to get them at the beginning of the season, and then again maybe a couple of games in after they've had a game or two where they've produced. So one guy, and I hesitate doing this because I haven't had a chance to send out as many offers for him as I would have liked to this point, but one guy for me is Darius Geis. I am buying right now, or I am trying to acquire shares of Darius Geis. I don't think you have to pay more in a second right now. Do you?
No, absolutely not.
And I want Darius Geis at a second round price all day, every day. I mean, the talent is there. He is a talented guy. The health is the issue. And I mean, obviously, but if he stays healthy, and look, I understand that's a big if. He hasn't been able to do it in what, 3 seasons? This will be his third year. Mm-hmm. So he hasn't been able for 2 seasons to stay healthy. I knocked Dalvin Cook a little bit for that earlier. Just ignore that part. Just forget I said that. But Darius Geis is a guy that I am more than willing to pay a second round pick for. Especially a 21 second. So I'm sending those out. So that's one player for me that I kind of had targeted or am targeting to acquire in some trades here at this point in the non-point scoring seasons.
So you are not concerned about health and Peyton Barber, Adrian Peterson, Bryce Love, I guess you don't really need to worry about. I mean, the crowdedness of that backfield, you're still willing to pay a second with all of that put in on it?
I am, because I think he's the most talented back in that backfield.
I mean, yes, that is very fair.
And yes, Adrian Peterson is probably going to start the year as a starter, but I think they'll do the same thing that they did last year. I think they mix Geis in early, and then if he can stay, again, that's the big thing. Yes, I'm concerned about the health, obviously. You have to be at this point. But
I mean, the future second isn't really necessarily all in or anything. So
right, exactly, okay. Exactly, and that's the point. Like, what so when I'm looking for these players, what are players who who are some players who right now you don't have to pay the farm for, that you can get for a reasonable price? So I'll give you an example of another guy, Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
Brandon Cooks for me is a guy that at his current price, he's in the hundreds in ADP right now. I mean, I'm paying that all day. Like, I mean, you can get him again. That's another guy for a second round pick.
82, you liar.
Maybe in one QB. Is that one QB?
Oh, you're making me click buttons. Yes,
it's one QB. Okay, that's what I thought. I thought I saw he was back in. He was somewhere in.
Yeah, 115 in. super flex.
There you go. So 115. I just think this is a guy again. I mean, he's got what, 4 1,000 yard seasons in 6 years or something like that. I would absolutely pay a second round pick for that type of production on the field. Brandon Cook's the one thing that people have said is he's not consistent week to week, and I get that, but he produces throughout a season. And if you're paying a second round pick, you're not. I don't really always expect great consistency out of second round picks. I don't know about you, but yeah, if we're talking about trading a first, of course, but a second round pick for a guy like that who is probably going to end up the season with he comes in now to Houston too. Are you super confident in Will Fuller, Randall Cobb?
I was about to say it's Randall Cobb season, baby.
All those guys can probably be useful from a fantasy perspective, but the point is, I think Brandon Cooks has the opportunity there to come in and maybe be the top of that group if things shake out in his favor. So I would gladly pay. That's another guy I would gladly pay a second round pick for.
Do you have any those?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Along the exact same lines of Cook, just not as experienced or not as doesn't have the production as much in his background. It's too early for this shit. Sterling Shepard.
Yes.
Whenever that dude is healthy, that dude produces on the field. He has the concussion issue just like Brandon Cooks does. You don't have to pay much more than a second. At this point, Sterling Shepard's the John Bosch special because he always talks about him. But I sold one share to John on a team I had that was bad for a second and a third. I got a second and a third for Sterling Shepard and felt great about it because that's John's worse than you when it comes to value. Value is literally all that matters to him. So that to me was perfect. That was great. I got the picks I needed. He got the player that's going to produce for him the second he gets on the field. That's another one I think is a very good buy right now, especially because of Darius Slayton's not a bad guy to go grab either, but I think there's a lot of hype is the wrong word because it's not like you have to pay for Darius Slayton in any way, shape, or form. But he is getting up there in people's expectations of being, again, air quotes, the number one wide receiver on the Giants. Who the hell knows what that means? I'm scrolling through. We're going to talk about our shares of players a lot. So I have my sticky board up. By the way, thestickyboard.com, if you use MFL, you guys should absolutely go check this out. It gives you all your player shares. It gives you all of your leagues on one screen where you can set your lineups. You can see if you have any outstanding trades. It's an awesome site. Boston Scott is another guy who I think, since Philly didn't actually bring anyone in, even though they were looking at a couple of people, he's still going to get the ball. He's still going to get that Sproles role, which is tough to say. Tevin Coleman has a chance at that backfield. You probably can get him for a third. Duke Johnson. We talked about Adrian Peterson a little bit, at least getting that week 1-2 production. All of these guys you barely have to pay for. I still believe in Anthony Miller. I don't know if he's going to be a thing, but I still believe in him.
Yeah, and another guy along those lines. And look, so James Conner is another guy that I think he's going below those guys that we've already talked about. The Jarvis Landrys, the Brandon Cooks, he's going below them. Maybe not in Superflex. I think in Superflex.
91.
No, he's 91. So he's a little bit higher than Cooks in Superflex.
Right below Jarvis Landry.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's another guy I think that, especially this year, if you're thinking heading into the season, I'm a running back, I'm an RB2 away. He could be a guy that maybe you could pick up for an early second round pick or something like that.
Yeah. And
could
Tomlin came out saying he's the one RB kind of guy, and right now James Conner is that one running back.
Yep.
Whether you could believe the coach speak in June or May, whenever the hell he said that, I don't remember anymore. Who knows? But we did kind of know that. We knew that James Conner will most likely be the guy. The problem is we don't have faith in his health. But if you can get it, if you're in the draft and you're holding the 2-6, 2-7, are you gonna go get Laviska Shenault, or are you gonna go get James Conner, who can help you win your way into the playoffs. He might not be able to help you once you're there, but he can make your team good enough to get there.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing. I mean, look. Obviously, a lot of it depends on your roster.
Yes.
And we talk a lot about not worrying about your rosters in terms of a starting lineup, and that's true. But you have to be realistic with where your team stands and where your roster stands. If you're in a rebuild, you don't want to take James Conner over somebody like Laviska Shenault, who may hit in a year or two. But for somebody who's contending, I mean, again, personally, I don't expect Shenault to be like, I mean, DJ Chark is there. It's not like he's gonna. And look, we don't need to get specifically into Shenault, but just these rookies that are coming in and they're not going to have full off seasons this year because of COVID and all of this, all the change and whatnot. So, I to get a guy like Conner who you feel pretty good about going into the season as the running back one in Pittsburgh. And look, unless he's injured, he's going to be that guy. Mm-hmm. So you can have concerns about the injuries. I mean, we talked about that with Darius Geis and with Dalvin Cook and with all these running backs, right? But if James Conner can stay healthy, he's going to be the guy in the backfield in Pittsburgh. So at least for this season. Now, moving forward, again, that's why he's not on a rebuilding roster, right? But for a roster where you're maybe a running back 2 away, or you need some running back depth, that's you can probably get him for a price that I would personally be willing to pay to solidify that part of my roster.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I have like anti-Conner like ingrained in my brain just because A, I hate running backs, and B, he's an injured running back in the first place. But now that I'm looking at like the players he's going around, I mean, Jarvis Landry, I would choose Jarvis Landry, but I mean, let's go. David Johnson is 6 spots above. David Johnson, Adam Thielen, Teddy Bridgewater, Henry Ruggs, I would probably take over Conner just because, I mean, he's that
upside.
His value is going to go up, most likely. Justin Herbert, I would probably take over him. Jarvis Landry, yes. Derek Carr, Tom Brady, Devontae Parker. I take Parker and Mims over him, but then Mostert, Hunter Henry. Oh man, T. Higgins is way too low. But that's not the conversation for right now. But yeah, there's a chunk of people that I would take Conner over. So maybe I'm gonna go shopping for some Conner.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just think there's an opportunity right now to grab some of these guys that people are a little bit down on. For me, another guy in that vein is Phillip Lindsay. But you get a guy like Phillip Lindsay for a 3rd round pick. You don't think
that I would do. Yeah.
I mean, do you think people are going to pay a 2nd? I don't.
Do you think anyone's going to sell him for a 3rd?
Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, no. Week to week, is Phillip Lindsay going to get that much play? I mean, maybe as like a bye week, fill in like your last flex spot. Maybe it's not the worst thing in the world. I don't know how often otherwise I'd feel that safe. But I mean, Melvin Gordon hasn't finished a lot of seasons.
Right. And if he goes down, there's a tremendous upside there. I mean, we've seen it the last 2 seasons in a shared backfield.
Yeah, not like Phillip Lindsay did anything wrong to lose his position. It's just that Melvin Gordon was out there and could be had cheaply.
Right.
So yeah, I can get behind what you're saying, and for 3rd, absolutely. I don't know how much more on top of that. All right, so what do you want to do next? Do you want to do some trade addicts trades, or do you want to do listener questions?
Let's get into some listener questions and save the trades for a little bit later. Let's talk about Mike. Actually, let's talk about Mike's trade in the chat real quick first, and then we'll jump into listener questions.
All right, go for it. You do it.
All right, so Mike McKinnon, one of our patrons and a Trade Addicts member, I believe 4, Trade Addicts 4.
I believe so.
Friend of the show. Yeah. So he just said, he had a trade that just went down, sent Michael Thomas and Van Jefferson for Odell Beckham Jr. and Marquise Brown. He also commented that he's a lot higher on Brown than most. Russ.
My
But
reply was, "Damn, man, that is not enough for Michael Thomas."
yeah, I agree here. I agree here, Mike. It's not. I mean, it's not by any means the worst trade in the world or a bad trade per se. I mean, I get the idea, hoping that Beckham rebounds, to pre Browns Beckham, and then picking up a piece in Marquise Brown, who, showed some promise last year in that offense. The problem I have with Brown is just it's that offense. I mean, they and not that it isn't a high powered offense. It's just, I mean, Lamar Jackson is they're going running the football is going to be a big part of that offense, regardless.
Yes.
So it's going to be him. It's going to be the read plays. It's going to be, with the backs. It's going to be he's going to have RPOs that where he can throw too. But those a lot of times are the quick hit. The quick hit to Mark Andrews up the seam, those types of plays. So I think, I think that there's a chance Hollywood. I like Hollywood Brown in best ball.
Yes,
I like him in best ball. He's a home run hitter, right? So I think in that format, or if you don't need the consistency, right? So we talked about Brandon Cooks, earlier from a week to week basis, and I think you're going to have the same type of thing with Marquise Brown. It's going to be a week to week thing. There are going to be weeks where, he has 2 75-yard touchdowns, and that's all you're going to need that week to win. So good for you. But then he's going to have weeks where he catches one pass for 6 yards or something like that. So that's the thing I think that concerns me about Brown. And look, I mean, with Michael Thomas, we're talking about the best receiver in the game right now. So for me, I mean, I would need to feel a little bit more confident in that second piece, just to trade Thomas for those two parts. I don't think it's a bad trade. I just wouldn't have done it personally. I mean, I think Michael Thomas can probably fetch you. I mean, Michael Thomas can get you Saquon Barkley. So, so for me, and obviously I'm biased when it comes to Saquon, but if he can get you that caliber player, I would rather have a little bit more of something that I felt is a sure thing than hoping for a bounce back for Beckham and a Marquise Brown breakout. But again, it's not a bad trade.
See, here's how I feel about this. And I mean, I clearly can't speak for Mike, but the thing is, what I think happened is we know Odell Beckham is better than he has shown. We know that, I believe, I should say, and Mike just put it in the chat, it's really the offense that needs to rebound, not necessarily Odell Beckham. So he believes that this year will be better. The problem is he did what I did a lot when I first started in Dynasty. You traded on the value he should be at, not the value he is at. And while that helps when you value someone more, like you do with, like he's saying he's higher on Hollywood. So being able to pay a lower price for Hollywood is great. But I think he valued Odell Beckham a little higher than the market does. So that's why it seems like it was an underpayment. Now, we can do the really horribly annoying thing where it's like, oh, well, next year, if Odell is a top 10 receiver, then, he won the trade and blah, 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 which isn't necessarily fair to do because, I mean, with Dynasty, I think we made the joke with J Mike. I made the joke with J Mike last week, when everybody retires and we quit fantasy football, we'll see who wins that trade. I mean, like, you can keep kicking that can down the street. Who the hell knows when it'll stop? So I'm not, all of the things you said plus injury risk scares me about Hollywood. But if you're high on Hollywood, I believe in Odell Beckham. Again, like you said, it's not something I would do, but it's not like one of these like, oh, you sold Michael Thomas for that.
Right. Sure.
So hopefully we did not hurt your feelings, Mike. That's a lie. I don't necessarily care. Okay, so
I care, Mike.
Do a listener question.
Listener questions.
Okay, I want to read this one.
Yeah.
I want to read this one from Nathaniel Broughton, who at Nathaniel Bro, who lovingly gave us like 18 questions. I just want to test my linguistic abilities on this one. If you apply the zig while everyone else zags theory to Dynasty, what's one zag you are zigging against?
Good job.
And he puts in quotes, possibly my worst tweet ever.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, are you like, because that's the thing. Like, I don't necessarily like the only thing I zig while zagging, and I didn't do it my last one or two startup drafts, was I trade up a lot lately because everyone wants to trade back. So trading up has gotten very easy is the wrong word, but better prices than I think you have to, because people have it ingrained in their brain that you need to go back, you need to go back, you need to go back. So you don't pay as much as that you think you have to. So like I mean, super flex, I go after quarterbacks. We'll call myself a late round running back as opposed to 0 RB, maybe. Yeah, I can't think of anything that I necessarily go out of my way to do because everyone else is doing the opposite. Do you have anything?
The only one that I can really think of is when it comes to the 2020 rookie class, I zagged in the sense that I sold a lot of my picks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not exactly zagging from my own personal like belief on selling picks for production, but when it comes to this class, I think that is a little bit of a zag because
greatest class ever.
Yeah, right. Until next year, and then and then 21 will be the greatest class ever. So, and everybody that studies this stuff is out there going, no, it won't. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. And I guarantee you that on April 12th or something next year, you'll at least have heard it once.
Well, wide receiver and quarterback have, at least right now, rival, if not beat, this year's. Running back isn't going to come close. Like,
in terms of depth.
Yes. I mean, we'll still have Etienne, Chuba Hubbard, I would imagine, will come out. Najee Harris will be 36, but, he'll still be up there.
Journey Brown.
Who?
Get to know the name, brother. Get to know the name, brother.
No, I lost bidding on him in the kitchen sink Devi auction. And yes, I was going to say, hey, buddy, look, I got your guy, but I did not get your guy.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, it's just like every year too. You'll have somebody that comes out of nowhere, that is like, oh my gosh, look at this dude. And then you'll have the small school darling that not a ton of people are looking at right now. Well, I mean, the Devi guys, a lot of these guys really dive into that stuff, but the average dynasty player, they're not necessarily looking at these guys currently, so there's always those. It never fails. I mean, every single year, the current year is the best class because that's what you're dealing with.
19 is the only year I remember everyone's like, "No, just go for 20."
Yeah.
That is the one year that really just no one was saying that. Everyone's like, it's going to be there's going to be a couple of good wide receivers, but other than that, just go for 20.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, you pick a question.
All right. So I'm going to read the one because I want to comment on it. So, P-Win at P-Win Dynasty, is definitely not Trade Addicts 9 a good league name or the best league name? And Russ, this is obviously directed kind of at you. What? Oh, yeah. So you have been very clear that there's not going to be a 9 this non-point scoring season. And maybe not ever. We don't know. But so I just want to say, P-Win. So I see all these tweets that you comment under Russ's stuff and under the pod stuff, and I would like to commend you for your commitment to this and to your persistence, because it is absolutely admirable. It's not happening, bro, but it's absolutely admirable and hilarious. So
yes, hilarious.
Please continue, because it's awesome. All right, let me pick another one here since that was kind of a fun one.
And I just need to put he slides into my DMs and does the exact same thing. So don't think it's just like for show out there. No, he means it.
Nice. So Josh Hughes at Dave McGuave. Dave McGuave.
Move on.
Anyways, and this dude I think grew up like 10 minutes from me, because we've had a couple conversations about that. His question: are there any running backs in Miami, San Francisco, or in Seattle with your Seahawks that are worth targeting? Is there anyone that stands out as a potential cheap value?
All right, well, pick one in each.
So I'm going to say yes is the answer to this.
Yeah, I mean the answer is yes for sure.
See, I'll tell you what. I'll take Seattle since Seattle's your team. Just to say that Chris Carson. Why are we sleeping on Chris Carson yet again? Again, people, stop sleeping on Chris Carson, the electric playmaker. He's coming back healthy week 1, and he's going to be the same dude you saw last year. And there ain't going to be nobody stealing no touches.
Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde. Yeah, he's Carlos Hyde is absolutely just the insurance. Chris Carson is the right answer, even though we did trade him away. But yeah, in Seattle, Chris Carson's absolutely the right answer. People are super down on him because he got hurt yet again. But the truth is that dude's on the field. Seattle runs the ball. It's what they do. They'll never throw the ball. We're not going to get into that now. But there's no one there like Chris Carson. He's far and away the best out of all of them. So that if the dude's healthy, he's out there. Miami, I'm still leaning Jordan Howard, though. I mean, Breida is far and away a better pass catcher. Like, we've seen Jordan Howard's hands. So pick one. I don't really have an answer. I have more Jordan Howard shares than I do Matt Breida. That's not necessarily by design, since they both ended up in Miami. It's just the way it was. And I think if I had to choose, I would choose Jordan Howard. I don't think their defense is going to be as bad as everyone thinks it's going to be. Like, everyone's like, they're going to be so playing from behind, so Breida's going to be out there catching balls left and right. I mean, they have two of the best corners in the league. So, I mean, that right away kind of edges a little towards actually running the ball. Plus, we have no idea what that offense is going to be like anyway. So
I don't think it's going to be bad. I mean, it's not going to be great either, but I don't think it's going to be bad.
So I think Jordan Howard's the guy I'm going to go for. Plus, he's more durable. That's the real and tiebreaker, I guess, for me. So of the 18 running backs in San Francisco, who are you choosing, and why is it Jerick McKinnon?
It is not Jerick McKinnon, but I knew you were going to say that, and it did make me chuckle.
The dream will never die.
Jerick McKinnon and Amir Abdullah, man, you are persistent.
My boys.
As well. I mean, it's Raheem Mostert, obviously. I mean, this guy's going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. Are you kidding me? I mean, Tevin Coleman's going to be your spell back. But
no,
I mean, what else does Raheem Mostert have to do?
You're talking like Kyle Shanahan's going to commit to a guy. Shanahanigans does not commit. First the father, now the son. There is not one running back in their backfield.
That is not true. Have you ever heard about Alfred Morris? He played for San Francisco at one time. That was a Shanahan guy, right? Alfred Morris was in Washington, man, when Dad was there. When Dad Shanahan was there. Because everybody called him the next Terrell Davis.
Man, people have to feel stupid about that one.
Yeah, clearly. No, I you know what though? I mean, look, I know Coleman was his boy, but he went away from Coleman. He went away from Coleman.
That made me so sad. I had such high expectations for that.
So did I. Oh no, you're fine. So did I. I mean, I had high expectations too. I thought he would run away with it, but Mostert ended up being the guy. And when he took over that backfield and really established himself, Shanahan stuck with him. So, I'm and now they don't have Matt Breida, who absolutely still carries from everybody else. I think it's going to be Mostert, and I think he has a chance to be. I think he could be an RB1 easy this year if he gets the volume.
Giving up a second for Mostert?
Hell yeah. All day long.
Giving up a first for Mostert?
Probably not.
2 seconds? Second and a third.
Yes, second and third, I would.
Okay. I think I have him in one of the trade addicts leagues. I'll hit you up.
Nice.
That's the right answer, because all of the running backs in San Francisco are going to be cheap because people think the way I do. And while I do think correctly, I don't think it matters. They run the ball enough that, I mean, even if Tevin Coleman is second fiddle, he'll still get a decent amount of touches where if he scores a touchdown, he'll be more than usable in a flex spot. That is, I don't know. Any other muddy backfields that have cheap players off the top of your head? I'm blanking.
I'm interested to see what Tampa does. I mean, that's muddy in my brain.
Yes.
I mean, I would like it as a Tampa fan, I think, but yeah, little muddy there. Just not sure. Is it going to be Rojo? Is it going to be Keyshawn Vaughn? Who knows?
Don't you dare leave out Dare.
Ogunbowale. Did I do it?
Ongumbawale.
Oh, damn it. I was pretty good, though. That was a hell of an attempt for a yinzer.
I was really trying to get the wordplay of Dare and Dare, and I realized that if it was written down, it would be funny and make sense, but saying it out loud, it doesn't really work as well. All right, so let's do the next question from Josh Valentin at Real Fantasy TL. Shout out Fantasy Timeline. Brian, what would your WWE wrestling name be, and why is it Meatloaf Wildcat?
It would be Meatloaf. Excuse me. It would be Meatloaf Wildcat, of course. So you are correct there, sir. And why? Well, because I'm the best. I mean, I said this on Twitter today. I mean, I'm the best. I'm the mother. I'm not gonna make you edit best. So yeah, that's why. Simple as that. Are you kidding me? Meatloaf Wildcat is like the greatest non-thought up name there's ever been. I mean, it was totally organic, and I mean, he knows. Josh knows. This is DAP Network fam right here. Josh knows. Oh, yeah. He knows. No explanation needed.
I need to go to this question because this talks about my guy and this talks about your guy.
Yeah.
Alex Casper at Dynasty Casper. Hearing a lot of Ridley, will you move stuff while I'm reading?
Sorry.
I completely lost it now. Hearing a lot of Ridley will be the Godwin breakout of last year, this season. Thoughts? Now, I saw this question and I'm like, I have words about this. Now, everybody knows my love for Calvin Ridley.
He's your man's.
He's my man's. If you go to Dynasty Trade Calculator and put in Calvin Ridley, you see Dynasty Outhouse's man's. He broke out already. What is this? There's a certain lack of respect I feel like I just got slapped with. And also, now we all, as a Dynasty community, I believe, I don't remember anyone saying Chris Godwin isn't good at football. But he didn't produce until he exploded, I don't believe. Even Brian's giving me that meh kind of look. Rookie year, Calvin Ridley caught 10 touchdowns. He passed the Chris Godwin breakout already. Come on, man. Respect. This shock and awe is really all I have for this. Will he take the leap to, what did we say? Godwin was 11. ADP of 11? I mean, no, because Godwin shouldn't be that high, but that's besides the point.
Okay, let me ask you. So let me ask you this. I want to interject right now.
Go ahead, because I was kind of out of things to say anyway.
We're gonna play the game in reverse. Godwin. No, I'm sorry. Calvin Ridley or Chris Godwin, straight up.
Oh, Godwin.
For you. Okay. Calvin Ridley or DJ Moore, straight up.
DJ Moore.
Okay. So if we're so if we're talking about a breakout, right? So first of all, I agree with that. I agree with that in the sense that on a per game basis, Ridley already broke out. I mean, he struggled with some injury again last year that kept him out 2 or 3 games, I think. Yeah, that ended up keeping him under the 1,000-yard threshold, which means absolutely jack shit, as we all now know, because Davante Adams threw that right in my face. But
I love how much it means to you.
It does. And you know what's funny about it? You know what's funny about it? So obviously, I mean, if you guys don't know, you have. I mean, most people know this by now, but I was one of the I pounded the table about this guy's never with Davante Adams. This guy's never had over 1,000 yards receiving, and like the very next year, it was like 1,314 touchdowns or something like that. It was ridiculous, but
it's pretty close to that, yeah.
And it's pretty much been the same thing ever since. So
yeah.
And I've never been so happy to be so wrong because I really like Davante Adams too. Like he's one of my favorite players to watch in the league. He's so good at what he does. So I really, really enjoy watching him play. So I'm happy to have been wrong. Now with Calvin Ridley, I'll say this: the 1,000-yard threshold is not important. Okay. The problem that I have with Ridley is Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley's age, because the combination of those two things don't mesh up for Calvin Ridley having a Chris Godwin-esque breakout in terms of like the 1,400 yard.
I'll give you in terms of dynasty value. I don't think Ridley's will ever reach what Godwin is right now. I can easily say that, especially because Calvin Ridley is going to turn 26 this year. But I think 2 years from now, he hits 27. He hits the floor of his prime. Julio's not going to be Julio anymore. I mean, Julio is awesome and will most likely always be awesome. But is he going to be Julio when he's 33? Probably not. Let me say probably not. Because clearly I can't say no, because again, he's Julio freaking Jones. But again, not Julio's, I keep going to say freshman year. Rookie year, I mean, he had the foot issues, but even his sophomore year when he was going nuts and all of that, Roddy White was still very relevant. And that was with an ascending awesomeness of Julio Jones. So the two can absolutely coexist as very, very good players, which, yes, you're right. Julio Jones will always cap his superstar ceiling. But I'm also okay with that because that helps defense not triple team him. There being an awesome option on the other side. So I'm very against this Chris Godwin breakout for many reasons, mostly because you're right. He won't. Like he most likely won't reach those numbers. And also because his value will never reach what Chris Godwin's is because of age, because of the hate on Mike Evans is much worse than the hate on Julio Jones, even though there's like a 10-year age difference there.
Never Julio.
That's like the one RotoWare shirt I really want to buy still, even though that's not really a thing anymore. Just the O in Julio is the red circle with the X line through it. So yeah, I just wanted to rant about this a little bit because like Ridley broke out. Ridley's the guy. Ridley, I mean, I had his ADP up, but I hit a button. 52. I mean, beginning of the fifth. I mean, Godwin was never in the 5th round. Godwin was in the 30th round, and then he was in the 2nd. So again, I stick with the screw you and your Chris Godwin breakout.
So once again, and I know this is your man's, okay? But I want to play the game, and I want to play it further down with more realistic people, the people that are around him in ADP.
All right. Do you want to read it? Or do you want me to read it?
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
I'll read it. So Calvin Ridley or Allen Robinson?
That's messed up. Allen Robinson.
You're welcome. I did that on purpose. Calvin Ridley or Courtland Sutton?
Oh. I
Wow,
want to say
that's
Calvin. Like I'm stuck. I have no idea. Like I think I'm gonna lean Calvin Ridley just because of the offense itself. We know what that
okay.
offense is. We know that offense has to pass it because they don't have anyone to run. Well, they have Gurley, but like they're more of a passing offense than we have no idea what the Broncos are going to be. So while
Mhm.
I like Sutton as a number one wide receiver more than I do like Calvin Ridley as that same kind of guy, Sutton is worth more. So let's leave it at that. So I'll say Sutton because I think right now Sutton is worth more.
Okay. That's interesting. I'm trying to look to see.
Like clearly I would never do that. Okay, but no, here, let's go like way the hell up.
Yep.
ADP of 40. Mark Andrews or Calvin Ridley?
I want Mark Andrews in,
Oh,
in
and Calvin
premium.
Ridley without even
Premium.
thinking about it. I don't
In
care.
premium?
Yeah.
You're batshit crazy, bro. I love you, but you're batshit crazy on that one.
I don't think a premium does much for Mark Andrews. He doesn't get a lot of volume. Aaron Jones.
I'd probably take Ridley
Oh,
based on
Ridley
the
too.
situation.
Cam Akers.
Ridley.
Baker. QB.
Baker and Superflex, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. We'll skip that. Metcalf.
I think that one's probably pretty close for me. I mean, I would probably lean Ridley, but it's close.
I'm not
It's
even
close.
thinking about it.
DK is such a freak.
I want Ridley.
Okay.
Again, that one is a lot based on the offense. Just because, I mean, I still think there's going to be Seahawks games where they pass the ball 13 times.
Here's the thing, though. What do you feel like Calvin Ridley's ceiling is statistically? Like if you were reading a line, what do you think his ceiling is?
Well, let's go back to last year. Last year, missing 2 games, he had 63 catches for 866 and 7 touchdowns. I was going to say at the very high end, like 90, 1100 and around 7, 10 again if he's lucky.
Okay.
Like I don't think he's going to be a fantasy high end wide receiver. Like I don't think he's ever going to be like Michael Thomas. Like I'm a little more realistic than that, especially in the situation he's in right now. Because by the time Julio's gone, Matt Ryan's going to be 40. Yeah. So and he'll be almost 30. So like I don't necessarily think Calvin Ridley is going to finish the season as like the wide receiver 3. But finishing as the wide receiver 12 has absolute value to it, right? And especially when you can get him in the 5th round.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so we compared him to Sutton a minute ago, and I think like that. So you talked about the offense, right? I mean, Atlanta's offense is pass friendly, right? I mean, that's a friendly offense for wide receivers, I think, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Denver, we're not sure.
Yeah.
So the first half of the season it was Flacco, and then it was Drew Lock for 5 games. And Cortland Sutton had 72, 11, 12, and 6. So the ceiling you're talking about for Ridley is a little bit higher than what Sutton did last year in a mediocre at best offense.
Yeah.
So, so I mean, I think the difference between the two players is probably what you just said, just a minute ago. I think Sutton has the potential to elevate into the elite tier of players, that top 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I really believe he has that potential. Ridley,
the amount of people in that offense makes it a little more difficult.
Right.
Wow. I took one of my earphones off my ear because I had an itch, and now I started talking, and it sounds so different. It really scared me for a second.
So, anyways, yeah. So really, that's a. I don't look. No, Chris Godwin type breakout. No. He's not going to be a 1st round startup pick probably ever.
No.
But is he a value where he's currently sitting? Probably.
I think so. He's my man's. And my gotta scroll back up. 2nd most owned player. I have 9 shares.
Ooh, nice.
38% of my leagues.
So while we're on shares, I just want you to take a wild guess I know this is, I mean, this is really putting you on the spot here. But I would just like you to take a wild guess at who the player who I have the most shares of across dynasty leagues. Just, I know it's a weird question. It's probably going to be really difficult for you to hit the nail on the head on this one, but
No, I think I got it.
Who do you think it is?
Devlin Hodges.
No, I have less shares than you do of Devlin Hodges.
I have 8 shares.
8 shares? You have more Devlin Hodges shares than my top player. That's gross. It's Saquon Barkley. For those of you who wanted to know, it is Saquon.
Yeah, of course it is. And I think I already said mine's Allen Robinson. But I
applaud that.
Well, clearly you do. Let's use that to pivot into the question that you had. It was another Daniel, right? Question?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. Sorry.
I think he just said, okay, well, regardless. He asked who our most owned rookie was.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Both of us.
We have the same player. Yeah.
And I think the same amount of shares we said. I have 5 shares of T. Higgins.
And I do as well. Yep.
And he asked why. Because T. Higgins is freaking awesome. That's why. Hashtag Team Clemson big wide receiver.
Exactly. And either my teams were really good and I was drafted into back half of the first, or my team sucked and I was drafted in the top half of the second. So that's the guy that was there.
Yeah, because it was a lot of... Yeah, like moving around that draft led me to the beginning of the second a lot. And you fell into that tier of Higgins, Pittman, blanking, Mims.
Mims, yep.
Vaughn.
Even Ruggs, depending on the draft.
Yeah, I drafted one Ruggs. I traded for another just to hold it over my friend's head later, who I know is a very big Ruggs fan. So I'm not really a big fan of him. But like those 3 to 4 guys, if you want to count that running back, but those 3 wide receivers was a big tier. And T. Higgins is just my guy, so I always found myself trading into that tier to get my guy. But let's go over. Where's my shares? I have 5 T. Higgins, and then my next 2 most owned are Seahawks players, because that's what I do at the end of drafts. I take Colby Parkinson and DJ Dallas. You have anyone else interesting?
Not really. I mean, Quintez Cephas, I have a lot of. I have 4 shares. He was the guy I targeted like late in drafts. That was just the name that always seemed to find my team. I have 3 shares of Mapletron. And I have... Oh, you're looking at me funny like you don't know who that is. You don't know who Mapletron is?
I don't know who that is.
So Mapletron is the Steelers' second-round draft choice, Chase Claypool. Mapletron. Yeah, because his testing numbers were Calvin Johnson-like, and he's from Canada. Mapletron. Maple Leafs? Mapletron?
The
American flag? Mapletron?
I got it. I got it.
This is legendary stuff. Hold on. Now I have to do the right thing here because I am absolutely a good person here. And I don't take credit where credit is not due. I doubt any of these guys are listening, but maybe they are, because occasionally they catch the show and they catch some other shows that I've been a part of. My DLFS boys. This was my first Superflex league. And Dynasty DeLorean, who's a big forum guy over at DLF, and it does some great work with running back stuff. He is a big Chase Claypool guy, and he dubbed him Mapletron in our group me chat. So I will not take credit for that. I don't know if he got it from somewhere. There were even shirts. He was showing me shirts, showing our league shirts that were made with like the picture of a maple leaf and Chase Claypool like busting through it and said Mapletron on it and stuff. It was pretty cool. But anyways, I'm not going to take credit. It wasn't mine.
If I've proven anything, it's that you can make a t-shirt of anything these days.
Very true. You have a great collection, though. I must admit, that's pretty impressive.
All right, so this next question is another Nathaniel Broughton at Nathaniel Bro, which I was confused by, but didn't bother asking him why he asked this. Is rookie pick 109 in a 12-team Superflex rebuilds the worst place to be. Should I trade up or trade back? Why is that bad? I guess because you're most likely missing out on Herbert, and then Jerry Jeudy isn't, or Jalen Reagor or Justin Jefferson aren't bad picks. Like, if you're trading up, you're hoping to get one of the quarterbacks because you're not trading up to get one of the running backs. If you're rebuilding, maybe if you want to, CD Lamb, I don't think you trade up to get a receiver when you could just get a receiver at a similar tier ish,
right,
with the pick you have. If you wanted to trade back and try and get two of that tier I was talking about before in Higgins, Mims, or Pittman, maybe, but I see absolutely nothing wrong with the 109. I've seen Herbert fall to the 109. And while maybe you're not the biggest Herbert fan, getting a quarterback in a super flex draft is just freaking great.
Yeah, especially one with that capital, that draft
he's
capital.
Gonna start.
Right.
Maybe not right away, but like he's absolutely going to start.
So he's actually, so in May ADP for rookies, he's 10th. Herbert's 10 and CD Lamb is 9. So no, I don't think 9 is the absolute worst spot.
Yeah,
no way.
Hit us up. Tell us why you think 9 is so bad, because clearly we don't think it's all that bad.
And like you said, I think, the idea of dropping back a few spots and picking up another one of those, that next tier of players, like if you were going to get Higgins and Mims, or Pittman and Mims, or Pittman and Higgins, or, any of those guys, to drop back from 9, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. And I think that is something to consider if you're in a rebuild. But I also don't think using that selection is bad at all, to be honest.
Yeah, no, not at all. All right. We have a bunch more listener questions. Let's quick fire some of these.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. The who's your most owned rookie this class and why was it was Eric Miskin at E Miskin. He's TradeX 5, I think.
5. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So just to give credit where credit is due, I guess.
Yeah.
Rocky at Dynasty FF Addict. Is The Princess Bride, in fact, one of the greatest movies of all time, or at least of the 80s? The answer is yes. It is a top 5 movie for me. Brian has not seen it. I've already yelled at him for it. And weirdly enough, today I've had 2 Twitter thread conversations about Princess Bride. The best was the one where Brian said he didn't see it. An entire conversation was had just in Princess Bride gifs. Yeah. And it was a coherent conversation. It was great. I love that movie. Is just so. If you haven't seen The Princess Bride, it's a fairy tale. It is fun. It is silly. The characters are great. The story is great. It is so quotable. It is so good. I highly. It's on Disney Plus. Go see it. That's all I got to say about that. Okay, so we can move on from that. At DFF_Carp, any reason to bother continuing to hold Lamar Miller, or can I just let him go?
Cut.
Let it go. Let it go. Don't hold on to him anymore. I'm editing that out. I'm not editing that out, but that was fucking awful. I can't believe now I have to edit that out. 123. Got it. All right, I'm going to forget.
Did it yourself, man.
I did. I couldn't help it. I sang. That was the dumbest thing ever. All right, let's do a trade addicts trade or two, and then if I'm not exhausted, we'll go back to more listener questions.
Trade addicts trades.
Trade addicts leagues, 12 teams, superflex, PPR, tight end premium, 1.75 points per reception for tight ends, and 0.05 points for return yardage. Okay, so there was a decent amount of trades that all are kind of different. Let's start with ours. Trade Addict 7. We talked about Chris Carson, how he's the guy to get in the Seattle backfield. We traded. It's kind of weird. We've never had a trade where it's just me and you talking to each other, and we were both on one side of a trade. Yeah. So, Brian, what do you think of the value of the trade we did? We traded Chris Carson, Dallas Goedert, and a 21 third for Julio Jones. I think I'm a bigger fan of this than you are. You were not happy to get rid of Chris Carson, which again, we both talked about and understand. This to me is a push towards winning, because while Chris Carson is a win now piece, Julio Jones is a winnier now piece, and Dallas Goddard, both end with a start with a G. Chris, damn it, I almost did it again. Chris Carson, Dallas Goddard. Okay, Dallas Goddard will probably finish tight end 11 to 14. We also have Zach Ertz, by the way. That's like, I'm fine getting rid of Dallas Goddard. I'm past the Zach Ertz is going to be gone and Goddard's going to be the guy dream in the next 2 years. Like, they've shown they want Ertz on their team. They keep restructuring him. I don't think he's going anywhere ever. And then the third is a third. I think Julio is a let's go win a championship piece. So that's why I was absolutely all about going to do this.
Yeah, and I didn't hate this by any means. I love Julio, and I think he's just an absolute stud. So, I mean, we talk all the time. To get a good player, you've got to give good players, and that's what we did. We gave a couple of them. We gave, a couple of guys with some question marks, I think. I mean, maybe not so much with Goddard. I mean, I think we know what he is. He's part of a 2 tight end system. And he's the tight end too. I know there are people out there that think he'll be the tight end 3 overall by the end of this season. I think that's ridiculous if Zach Ertz is still there and healthy. But Goddard is a good piece in a tight end premium league, no doubt. But yeah, I mean, getting Julio Jones is I'm always usually in favor of, and like you said, it's a win now move, especially with our roster construction. And yes, again, we always teach and preach, don't worry about your starting lineup, but we needed receiver help.
We are dead at wide receiver, but that did also have nothing to do, because I crafted this one. That had absolutely nothing to do with going after Julio. Technically, this was a counter to, sorry, Casey, a really bad trade offer. She actually offered, and I think she even revoked it before I could fully reject it, but she offered a 21 first for Goddard and Chris Carson. And before I could be like, really, Casey, really? She pulled it back. And I'm like, all right, no. So I sent those 2 guys for a couple of people on our team, just because we didn't have, we have Dalvin Cook, we have Leonard Fournette, we have Chris Carson. What?
We have Baquan.
Yeah, we do. That's really weird. I actually legitimately just skipped over that. But then we have Diggs, I think, is our best receiver.
Yeah.
So if we were worrying about roster construction, we needed a little bit more stability with a wide receiver spot week to week. But also, I think full season wise, Julio Jones should be a better piece than Chris Carson, and I wouldn't be thrilled to start Dallas Goddard every week. So to get Julio in the lineup to me was well worth getting rid of those 2 guys. But that's enough of that. So we just brought up Baquan. Let's go to, I paid for Saquon Barkley. I don't remember the last time I paid for a running back. It feels so weird, but I was talking, this is Trade Addicts 8. I was talking to Swags for over a month at this point about this trade. And the trade finally ended up being Leonard Fournette, DeAndre Hopkins, and Will Grier for Saquon Barkley and a 22 second. Tell me how you feel about that, Brian.
You already know how I feel about this. It's Saquon Barkley.
If you weren't the most biased human being in the world towards Saquon Barkley, how would you feel about this one?
I still think it's Saquon Barkley. I mean, I definitely wouldn't have paid a 2nd round pick, even though it's 2 years out. I wouldn't have paid a 2nd round pick with Barkley for those pieces. I mean, look, the thing for me, I mean, so first of all, I think the trade is fine value wise. I mean, the trade's fine value wise. DeAndre Hopkins is now being undervalued. What is he like? He's like mid-2nd round startup pick, which is absolutely ridiculous.
So gross. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gross. That's disgusting. So, he's absolutely being undervalued right now. I think he's still a top 12 player. He should be up where Chris Godwin is, to be honest.
Yes.
At the very least. So, if you look at it from that point of view, so you're talking about a late 1st round startup pick, along with Fournette, who is third? Is he a 3rd round startup pick now, somewhere in that range, in the 30s? I'd imagine. I don't know for sure. I don't have it in front of me anymore. But yeah, I mean, and then a quarterback
58
58,
in
really.
May.
I'm
No,
surprised.
okay, no, you keep talking, and then I'll talk about the Fournette hate going on right now.
Yeah, so I mean Leonard Fournette, I mean he to me I see him as more of a, a top 40 player, top 36 player.
Especially points wise this
Right.
coming year for sure.
Right. Right. Um for in a quarterback, I mean Will Grier does nothing for me, to be honest,
No, no, no.
particular deal. But for Barkley in a second. So I mean I think it's okay value wise. I don't, Saquon to me is, I mean, Saquon to me is beyond my bias. He's a top 3 dynasty asset regardless of format.
Yep.
So I just, to acquire him, I would pay this price. I would pay this price every day for Christian McCaffrey. I'm not. I mean, I like Saquon better. I'm biased in that regard. But those elite players at the top end of drafts that are still young and in their prime, and Barkley, I mean, he's 23 years old. To acquire a player like that, I would pay this price. I would pay this price. So I like the Barkley side, and it's beyond my bias. I would pay this for Christian McCaffrey as well. I think that side, I would rather have that particular side. But again, value wise, I think it's fine value wise.
It was tough for me to hit. I sent this. He sent it to me without that 22 second, and I countered just to see if I can get it, and I guess I did. But yeah, it's a running back, and the thing is, what's really hard for me is the amount of points DeAndre Hopkins and Leonard Fournette are going to score next year. That's what held me back. I think they're both going to score a lot of points. But what I was going to say before, when I brought up all the Fournette hate, I put this out on Twitter because it's revolutionary for my being to pay for a running back. So I had to tell the world about it. I put out on Twitter that I actually paid for Saquon, for Baquan, and I put the trade out there, and everyone's like, oh yeah, I would give Hopkins for Saquon easily, or hey, getting Saquon just for Hopkins. I'm like, Leonard Fournette, like, I get it. The dude scored 3 touchdowns, which is awful. The guy may not have a future after next year just because it's definitely not with the Jaguars. And we've seen especially, he's still just a 2-down back. He caught a lot of balls last year, but I think that may have been out of necessity more than anything else. I think if he goes to another team, I don't think he's going to be used as a 3-down back. Let's just put it that way. So we have no idea what he is going forward. But the fantasy value he has going into next year and the dynasty value of Hopkins, that was a lot to me to process, to give away. And the fact that everyone's just like, oh, just for Hopkins. Yeah, of course. Like, overlooking Fournette is not smart. And now I think I'm going to go try and get him on every single competing team. Because clearly it just seems like everyone's overlooking the value he will give your team this year. And there I did it. I said everyone. Clearly not everyone, but a lot of people were just like writing Fournette off like he's nothing. And clearly this guy is not nothing. This guy is fantasy points. But yeah, I traded for Saquon. Now come get
it. Good job, man. Congratulations. It feels good, doesn't it?
It really does. I don't know if I could do it again.
You don't deserve it, but
I don't at all. You should come get him.
Yeah, the problem is that so
I know.
That ain't
okay, so I got to be honest. The rest of the trades aren't really all that fun, and I'm too lazy to scroll through the rest of the questions. Is there anything else on here you want to talk about before we go?
No, man. I mean, I think there's a couple more questions that should be answered. So if we didn't get to your question, we're going to leave them on the sheet here.
Yeah.
We'll hopefully get to them next week. But yeah, I think I'm good for this evening. I'm running out of some steam here.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely at my point of being tired. Again, see, I couldn't even think of like a good. I almost at the point of no return, which makes zero sense in this context. Ugh. So, on that note, whew, remember, guys, we're giving away a freaking Scott Fishbowl. Oh man, I just remembered that I cursed before that I need to edit. I need to write that down. It was at 123.
Yep.
So I need to do that before I chop off the beginning so the number doesn't change. We're giving away a Scott Fishbowl invite. Remind people how they're going to get it.
Yeah, so again, we're giving away a Scott Fishbowl invite. Subscribe to the DAP Network on YouTube, the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network on YouTube. Rate and review the Trade Addicts podcast on whichever listening platform you use to listen to podcasts and listen to us on. And then donate to a charity. I almost said a chariot. Donate to a charity of your choosing in any amount. And then screenshot all of that, please, and DM it to @TradeAddictsPod on Twitter, and you'll be entered for a chance to win the Scott Fishbowl spot.
That's so cool. All right, but the rest of our stuff, patreon.com/TradeAddictsPod. You can sit here and watch us try and grasp for words and see how long some of the breaks are. All of a sudden, like when Brian asked me between Ridley and Sutton, it's going to act like I answered right away if you're listening on the pod. But you could watch this YouTube stream and see that it probably was like a good minute and a half of me trying to think of an answer. You also, we had a couple of, you heard us answer a question from the chat that's going on YouTube right now. So you can get part of that. You get the part of the Cool Kids Club, which is our awesome GroupMe chat. ffpodshirts.storeenvy.com. We just added the Devi Marketplace at Devi_Kane and Pearson NFL.
Caleb.
Yep. Yeah. Sorry, Caleb. I'm completely blanking on what your Twitter handle is. But that show is awesome. They're both awesome. The shirt and the sticker are awesome.
At Pearson FF.
Pearson FF. Thank you. I said NFL. That was wrong. The list is honestly way too long, but awesome podcast stuff in there, swag in there. I just got my shipment of DAP Network stuff. I got the little brain with the headphone sticker, Fantasy Timeline, Dynasty Junkie sticker. I got the DAP Network t-shirt and the hoodie, which I freaking love. Whew. Wristbands. I saw you're wearing yours today, Brian. Finally.
Got it on.
I have 3 shipments that I think I'm going to a post office sometime soon just to get these out, because 3 people have been nice enough to have waited this out and not yell at me for waiting so long to send them out. So if I'm going, you guys might as well drop into mine or Brian's DMs, ask for some wristbands. $5 per wristband, and $2 of every wristband goes to Fantasy Cares. Oh, and FF Pod shirts, all of that stuff. I mean, it's funny. I used to say 10% of everything goes to Fantasy Cares, but honestly, we don't really make any money off of that. So it's really just all the proceeds go to Fantasy Cares at this point. We don't really make any money off of it. What else do we talk about after the show? Are we done? Is there more?
I don't remember.
Good night, Brian.
I respect. That's the part that for me is challenging. If you've heard my choppy endings when I host without
one day, he will remember ffpodshirts.storeenvy.com.
Store Envy pod t-shirts.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah. Night, Brian.
Night out, House.